Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. I'm gonna save you guys some money today. I'm gonna tell you 10 different fragrances that you don't need to buy. If you have these in your cart, remove them. They no longer exist. Goodbye. Or if you've been thinking about buying them, you can stop. You don't have to do it anymore. I'll have each of these linked in the description below in case you do want to check them out down there. But again, you don't need them. Before we jump into these fragrances, I will pause the video again for some codes. Or I guess you could pause the video for the codes. Yeah, that makes more sense. MaxAroma.com does have a new code. It is Gents20 for 20% off their website. There are a few brands that are excluded from that. So if the brand that you're shopping for, you try Gents20, it doesn't work, use Gents10, that will work. That's 10% off, 20% is better, try that one first. Also got codes for Lucky Scent, Triple Traders, Max Aroma, Twisted Lily, and even Beauty the Shop. So codes everywhere you use these, save some money. All right, these fragrances are in no particular order because, like I said, you don't need them. You don't need any of these. We're gonna kick things off with Just Jack. This is a great name, Just Jack. And it is tobacco leaf. So when you hear the name Just Jack, you could think of a couple different things. One of them is not safe for work, Just Jack. Also, you could be thinking about the dance. Like, no, you Just Jack. It's actually a clone brand that clones Tom Ford fragrances, and they don't do a good job at it. It's part of Sterling Parfums, which you will recognize from Armani, which Armani, much more successful than Just Jack. So tobacco leaf, you can probably guess what this is supposed to be, a clone of Tobacco Vanille. Oh, it's bad. It sucks. It's just not good. Really synthetic, chemically, with kind of a strange soapiness underneath, but not a pleasant soap. It's really bad. This sticks out even more so when you consider how many different clone brands are coming out with clones nowadays that are very good quality and get just stupid close to the real deal for a much cheaper price. And if you've never smelled Tom Ford fragrances before, but you have smelled Just Jack, and then you think, oh, well, Tom Ford must not be that great because this stuff smells pretty awful. No, that's just Jack. Jack is friggin' horrible at making fragrances. It's Just Jack. Let's go from ultra cheap to ultra expensive. Five Christian, number one. I bought this because I don't know. Well, I do know, but it's because it's Clive Christian number one. It says right on the front here, created using the rarest and most precious natural ingredients. Number one, the world's most expensive perfume. That's what it says right there on the front. Oh, I can taste it. Ugh. I'm aerating it in my mouth and making it worse. Now, it may not be truly the most expensive fragrance in the world. There are other ones that you can find out there that are gonna cost you more than this, but at full retail, this is still stupid expensive. $750, pricey. Of course, you can find it at discounters for less, which is where I got it, but it's still expensive there as well. It's not really cheap. Which I guess you would expect with a $750 retail price tag, that it's not gonna get discounted enough to make it affordable. Now, the quality of the ingredients is good, which again, you would expect for the cost. The problem is the fragrance itself. For a lot of people, this is not gonna be something that they're gonna really want to smell like. I don't want to smell like it. I can appreciate it, but at the same time go, yeah, that's not for me. It has a little bit of a grandma vibe to it, you know, that kind of floral, old house kind of stuffiness to it. For the price point, this is a terrible, terrible buy. The only reason you should ever buy this is if you have just stacks and stacks of money. You go into a store and for some reason that vibes with you. You know, you try it out in store and then you pull the trigger, but you should never in a million years blind buy that. Up next, we will go with this one. Almost dropped it, kind of. Dunhill Desire Blue. This is an inexpensive fragrance, so I can't bag on it for the price. It's more so just the scent itself. It's really cheap smelling. And again, it is a cheap fragrance. It has a synthetic, syrupy, almost kind of sweetness to it. It does have a fresh touch. And I would say out of everything here, outside of maybe one or two things, it's probably the best scent. So with this one, it's not that it smells necessarily terrible. I don't think it does. It is quite inexpensive. So if you're balling on a budget and you really don't have much to spend at all, you could go for this and it's not gonna be, you know, the worst thing on earth. It's just, for me, it does come across cheap smelling, and I would rather spend maybe, you know, $10 more for a fragrance, because this one you can find a 50 ml for around even $15, maybe a little bit more, but I'd rather spend $5–10 more, get something that's higher quality, that smells nicer, that doesn't have that very strong, like I said, synthetic sweetness that this does. This one is also cheap. Karl Lagerfeld. It's not very good. This is one of the lower rated fragrances on Fragrantica, for what that's worth. Honestly, nowadays, not much. But it is a fragrance that's just like the poster child for a generic, cheap smelling men's cologne. Like when you smell it, you'll think, it's okay. And that's pretty much the reaction you would get from anybody that does smell this. Again, it's not offensively bad. Some of the ones coming up are a little bit closer to being offensively bad. This one is just bland, unbelievably bland. It's honestly like the company just went to the perfumer and said, look, here's your budget, 10 bucks. 10 bucks per kilogram. I just need something that smells like cologne. You get me? You know, a little fresh, a little sweet, a little nothing, who cares? Just give me that. We're gonna put it in a cheapo bottle and that's it, we don't care. And then boom, this is what you got. So this is one of those situations where, again, if you have very little money to spend and you don't wanna look for other better things out there, which there are, then this is not gonna be the end of the world, but it is just completely forgettable. Okay, let's move on to Mancera. And frankly, there are a lot of Mancera and Montal fragrances that could be in this video. This one is Gold Intensive Oud. Not Gold Intensive Oud, Intensive Oud. Or Gold Intensive Oud, my bad. So what's the deal with this one? Well, one of the main issues with this is that it basically just smells like 30 other Mancera fragrances. It's another one of those scents where it doesn't really have anything unique, anything going for it. And this one smells fine, it's whatever. Oh, it's rose and oud. Yeah, it's something that you've smelled 25 million times before if you have delved into fragrances for any length of time. This is rose and oud, done on a fairly basic level. By basic, I mean it smells like just your run-of-the-mill average rose oud. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of whatever. And Mancera has, as I said, a number of other fragrances. It actually smells similar to this one. So it's just, who cares? Okay, now let's follow that up with this. Nautica Blue. Now this is crazy cheap. It's like the Dunhill, and like the Dunhill, it's just frankly not very good. It smells inexpensive, it smells synthetic, it smells cheap, it smells dated at this point. It doesn't cost much. That's pretty much the only pro. Still one of the best-selling fragrances on Amazon.com somehow. People, I guess, recognize the name Nautica and they see it going for, you know, under $15 and they think to themselves, well, that's a pretty good deal because I know the name Nautica, so it's gotta be pretty good. Years and years and years ago, I bought a bottle of this from Walmart when I didn't have a fragrance and I was going on a trip. And they had like a 15 ml size bottle, I think. I was like, well, I'll get that, you know, because then I'll at least have something. And I regretted it the whole time. Really just was like, God, I might as well have worn nothing. My performance sucks too. Let's go with this next. Armani Homme. Now this one, to an extent nowadays, is kind of under the radar. So you could maybe give it points for that and say, well, it's from a house that people know, Armani. It's a fragrance that not many people are wearing at all, and they re-released it, I believe, 2020, because they had the original version of this came out many years before that. It has an interesting little bottle style. The issue with this is that it just doesn't really have much of a wow factor to it. I would say of everything here, this one, another fragrance that's coming up, and then the Dunhill are the best. Sorry, Mancera. But this is just nowadays kind of overshadowed. It's essentially an aromatic fragrance, with a little bit of fresh spice in there, kind of a woody undertone to it. It doesn't smell bad. It's got like a little slight gentlemanly touch to it. It has a throwback feel as well. Okay, niche again, Wall Street from Bond number 9. This has dust caked all over this bottle. Haven't pulled this thing out in years. It's not good. Bond number 9 is a very interesting house to me. Their fragrances are, decently expensive, especially at full retail. And yet when they miss hard. Like there are some Bond number 9 fragrances that you smell them and you just think to yourself, my God, how did this get released? And especially at this price point, like this is rough. Who could have possibly smelled this and been like, oh yeah, it's ready, baby. What is going on over there? So Wall Street, yeah, this one, it makes no sense. When you look at the note breakdown and everything, it doesn't really seem cohesive. Bond number 9 fragrances are named after different parts of New York City. So this is Wall Street, obviously. Money, money, yuppies. What? Yeah, it's just so odd. Like cucumber and seaweed. Cucumbers are green, seaweed is green. Money is green. Is that how they came up with like what to do here? Yeah, it just has this weird kind of divisive, off-putting scent profile. It's like sweet, quite sweet, and then fresh, and then has an underlying like funkiness to it. Just a hard thing to describe, like a weird funkiness. Some people are gonna dig this just because it's different, but it is pretty divisive, and a lot of people that smell that are gonna gag. Then we got, ooh, Fierce. Abercrombie & Fitch. So why Fierce? Well, it's played out. To be fair, a lot of fragrances are played out at this point, right? Anything that's super popular is played out. But Fierce is still quite expensive. Quite expensive. At discounters, it's still a pricey designer. And you can get fragrances that are just as good as this, if not better, like Mont Blanc Legend, for way less. So even though Fierce does still work, absolutely still works, really versatile, compliment puller, people pleaser, easy wearing, easy going. I don't dislike the scent itself. I just think for the price point, you're better off going with Legend or one of the other alternatives out there. And as an added benefit, an added bonus, possibly, if you get Legend or another fragrance like that, you don't have to look at a guy trying to pull his peen out on you every time you spray the bottle. Again, I mean, that could actually be a negative. I'll put that up in the air, potential positive. I mean, he's getting close, this guy. I wouldn't trust that guy. Walk into a bar and this dude comes up to me, I'm like, whoa, what are you doing, brother? Last one, Polo Blue Eau de Toilette. I just don't like it. Here we go. Polo Blue Eau de Toilette, this one, just to me, again, it's blue. It's one of those early iterations of blue, fresh sport scents that nowadays when you smell it, it has like a cheapness to it. It has kind of like a hairspray type product or something. Like it doesn't have that refined edge that you would expect from a nice fragrance. I think where the Polo Blue line has evolved, it's gotten better. The ones that have come out here recently, I think are so much nicer than Polo Blue EDT. And I think for the price point that you have to pay to pick this up, there's like dozens and dozens of things out there much better than this. Just don't even mess with it. And that one has cucumber too. These cucumber boys. I don't like your cucumber, bro. All right, that's gonna do it. 10 fragrances you don't need. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Let me know in the comments, what are some fragrances that you purchased and you realized shouldn't have done it. So I'll tell you, I got 10 of them right here. Thank you guys, stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you later.